Hello, good evening, welcome. My name is Kwabena. Welcome. I want to share with you briefly what I call how to develop yourself. How to develop yourself, and into bracket with a focus on entrepreneurship or with people who are interested in building your business, in trying to do something with the level that the level that they are. So how to develop yourself. How do you develop yourself? Very few people are very much aware of what it takes for them to develop themselves to whatever that they can become. Most of us were introduced to an environment where we were told that once you get yourself into school and you get the best of course and you find the best of job and the highest paying jobs, you will be successful. And so, if you don't find yourself in that kind of category, then it appears like you will not be successful with your life. I am particularly interested in anybody who believes that they can build something with the little that they have in their hands, and that for me falls in the bracket of entrepreneurship. So anybody who is interested in building something, I'm not talking of people who are waiting for help, somebody who is waiting for the government to help them, or somebody who is waiting for a big corporation to give them a hand. This kind of development, as people who are interested in entrepreneurship, or if an entrepreneur, is not largely found in school. I think you know every one of us probably would find some kind of education, but the entrepreneur's education is really at the self improvement level, at the self education level, at the self development level. And so much has to do with the strategy, the plan that you have to constantly develop yourself. The kind of training materials that you are using yourself, the kind of books you're reading yourself, the kind of videos you're watching, the kind of activities that you are consciously, intentionally using or getting yourself into every now and then, and with the intention or with the mind that you'll be equipped to follow this journey. Life is very difficult, I think, for most people who don't develop themselves constantly, because life throws so many things at people. Every stage, I think the only time that people get to enjoy life so much is when somebody is taking care of them when they are children. Maybe the first 5, 10 years. Even that, some children find themselves in situations where there is nobody to take care of them. But on the average, majority of people, you start to live when you become responsible for yourself. And when you start to become an adult, you see that life, you have to live it, or life will leave you. And if life is leading you, it is difficult. And one of the best ways to take charge of your life is to develop yourself constantly. Unfortunately, in our part of the world, in Africa, and most African people and their descendants, uh, we've been taught not to be so much responsible, and that God, in His own time and in His own special way, will take care of us. And those of us who happen to go to church, we have had that kind of conviction. Then it gets to a point, you see that no, this thing that they have told us, maybe there is more to it. And so, unless you commit to developing yourself as an entrepreneur, there's not much that you'll be able to do. You see, you're looking for success, you're looking for productivity, you're looking for progress. And at the same time, you want to keep your peace, you want to keep your health, you want to keep good relationship. And combining the two takes a lot of information, it takes a lot of knowledge, it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of development. Because sometimes you find somebody who's chasing results, who is chasing money, who is chasing business, and then they forget to live. They forget to take the other side. The other side is life is meant to be enjoyed. Life is meant to be lived, and you have to make sure that you have that kind, as part of your pursuit. And so, if you don't have that, it becomes very much difficult. And that's where, when you don't have much information as to what to do to improve your life, as to what to do to go to the next stage of your life, then you start to believe that God in his own time will help us. And I think that that is only with people who have not mastered much about life and who don't really understand what it takes to get results. And that's why developing countries much, focus on, usually when you hear that God will help us, God will help us, it's in God's own time. God's time is the best. Those kind of things are usually for people who don't know how to develop themselves. So it is not popular for you to develop yourself so much as an entrepreneur. It's not a popular option. Most of your mates, I mean, if you completed college, secondary school, university, 90% or so of your mates will be going to look for job, because that is the level of the self-development they have. Every one of us settles at the level of development, the level of maturity that we have given to ourselves. So if I cannot, because it takes a lot of confidence, it takes a lot of different kind of thinking and looking at life for you to say that I want to start a business, I want to do something, I want to be responsible, I want to create value, I want to create employment, I want to create jobs. It does not just come to anybody. It takes a lot of development, a lot of constant training and changing and improvement for you to dare to even see an opportunity and grab it. So if you just flow through the normal structure that they give us, the normal social understanding, the normal cultural, disposition, that the normal cultural script that they have given us, then you will just think that, just finish, go and look for a job, and then the government will take care of you. And it's so much common in Africa, and the big men and the big women and people of substance in our community are not those people who are trying to hustle and worry themselves so much to build something, say like a business. No. The best, they just go get certificate and look for government appointment, and they become automatically big shot. If you want to develop as a business person, if you want to develop as an entrepreneur, that is not the path. That is not the path. And until that hits you, that path that you want to take as an entrepreneur will be so much frustrating, because you will be thinking of living this life, having this profession, having this career as an entrepreneur, with that life of majority of the population, which the things that you have to deal with will not be as the things that they deal with all the time. You are going to deal with a lot of difficulties. You are going to deal with a lot of problems. It's a different training. And that's why school is not preparing, or school is not meant to prepare entrepreneurs. At this moment, I don't think that school. The other time I met a friend who is doing PhD in entrepreneurship. So I asked him, how are you going to do PhD in entrepreneurship? The lecturers who are teaching you that, or the lecturers those who are supervising your project, how do you have PhD in entrepreneurship? I said, no. What we are doing is that we are just trying to pick data of the people who happen to be doing this, and why they do what they do, how they think, how they make decisions, the kind of journey, the kind of processes, the kind of stages that they go through, and they just compare it with what is happening in any particular economy. What kind of people end up becoming entrepreneurs? So he said that is what he's just trying to study. And so you don't just go and get a PhD in entrepreneurship because you want to become an entrepreneur. And that clarified that. So because nobody is taught in that. And that's why there is no even any particular course in any university which prepares people to become entrepreneurs. Even if you had BSc or PhD or MBA in entrepreneurship, it does not mean that you can start a business. It's really at the self-development level. It's really at you knowing this is the kind of person that I am. These are my aspirations. This is my passion. I think that I can take this this chance to try to develop a business, and I think that I have that disposition. I think that my strength is in that. You have to have that kind of thinking. It's not something that anybody at all can just say that, okay, you have gone to school to do this course, therefore you end up becoming an entrepreneur. No, it's more defined in what you have equipped yourself as an individual, the way you look at life, the books that get your attention, where you grew up, the kind of family you grew up, the kind of environment you grew up, even the kind of town you grew up in, the people who were around you. What were the things that inspired you when you were growing up? Those things. Were you exposed to maybe selling something? Were you exposed to commerce? Were you exposed to people who were interested in business? Those things develop people who eventually end up becoming entrepreneurs. So it's more of skill identification. It's more of your own individual identification. You have to be able to identify that this is who I am and this is what I think. Some people cannot take instruction. Some people, it's so difficult for them to follow regulations and regimented environment. They think they are free. They are what they call free, atom or free radical or something like that. When we were doing chemistry, I remember there are people who are just in the free range. And life is what really trains entrepreneurs. It's not school, So you at the very onset, if you're able to see that, okay, this is the kind of person I am. I think that I have very independent mind. I'm very inquisitive. I want to take so much charge of my life. I'm not lazy. I can work. If I have to set a goal and go after it, I don't wait for somebody to push me. If you give me an assignment, I'm not ready to wait for instruction. I'm just going to go. Those kind of people tend to become entrepreneurs. And then those people must also have a constructive, intentional training, personal training manual that will help them to develop. And so understand that it's not popular, it's not taught in school, and it calls for self-education. And you have to have your own mechanism, so to say, your own structure as to the kind of books that you're going to read. In addition, even if you happen to have yourself in school, what kind of books are you reading in addition to the books or the course that you're doing? I remember when you were in school, yes, we were going through all those things and to write exam, but every now and then you will see that you would go through the library, you go through the bookshop, and you are picking books that you think you are trying to find. It's more of self-discovery. You're trying to read books, you're trying to read something that connects with you, connects with your future, connects with your talent. You're thinking, okay, what can I sell to make profit? How can I define myself through this gift that I have? Those are the things that they fidget, they try, it doesn't work, they go here, it doesn't work. And it's more, you have to have that kind of passion to constantly go after knowledge. And people who are able to start businesses and who are able to build any idea into a business, which is able to employ 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people who are able to build a brand, build something, structure some, around a business, around a company, who are able to build companies, who are able to do something. You can see that they are always reading something. They are always studying something. They are always searching. They are reading articles. They are reading books. And usually the books that they are reading, they are not reading chemistry. They are not reading engineering. They are not reading, the main complex thing. They are reading something that will link to a product, that will link to a business formation, that will link to an idea generation, that will make them become better leaders, that will make them become more resilient and persevering, that will become, they are always feeding themselves with things that will make them more courageous and that will make them think and question. Those are the things that entrepreneurs train themselves with. So you have got to do that. You cannot just be reading what everybody else is reading. The people who are building businesses, those, at least the first generation people, those who are trying to pick an idea and to develop it, they are not really people who are reading things that are not going to get them results. There are people who like reading, but they are reading things that just make them have fun and get happy. When you see an entrepreneur, he's not looking at a book to read to get happy. He's not looking at a romantic book, so to say. He may read one at a time. He's not looking at that. He's looking at what book can I read to become better? How do I get to do this? Maybe he's a programmer. He's always looking at information that will make him better his skill. His skill. He wants to craft. He wants to polish his craftsmanship, his craft. So let's say he's a carpenter. He's always looking for information to make him get better product out. Maybe he's a shoemaker. Maybe he's a builder. Maybe his business is about, sales. He's always looking for information to get him to, equip him to do more. That is what entrepreneurs train themselves with. So the kind of environment that you create for yourself is that there is always some kind of knowledge, some kind of information, some kind of thing that is always trying to push you to the next stage. Helping you to deal with the complexities of your day, and at the same time helping you to get the best out of time and out of your gift and out of your everything that you do. So entrepreneurs equip themselves a lot of the time with knowledge. There is constant need, constant passion, constantly searching for knowledge. They are like the dry sponge. When you put the dry sponge in water, you see the way it starts to suck the water. That's the typical definition of an entrepreneur. He's always looking for something, and they always think that if the resource is not coming, it means that there is something that they don't know. A typical entrepreneur is not looking for God to help him to succeed. A typical entrepreneur is not waiting for somebody to help him to succeed. They always have some level of confidence to think that, listen, I can get it happen. I will, by all means, if I keep developing myself, if I keep equipping myself, I will get to a point that the results will come. And that's why you see some kind of optimism with entrepreneurs, because they believe that it is within their reach. If they are not getting the results now, it means that there is something that they don't know. And if they keep pushing, and you and I know that that's not how a lot of people think. A lot of people think that, a lot of our young men, the kind of information that they read will not help them to become better at productivity, will not help them to become better at even starting and building a company or building a business. No, because a lot of them, we are just having fun, and we are having fun on the social media. Every comedy, we are the one. We are reading about marriage, sex, jokes, politics, what the Akufo-Addo is saying, what your mama is saying. You cannot be an entrepreneur, and that is the kind of information 90-80% of the time you're absorbing. You are not going. You give up on your business because you have to get a lot to become better. Until you know better, you cannot become better. Until you know better, you cannot do better. And so if you look at any typical business person, entrepreneur, trying to do something, you see that the kind of information that is getting their attention, the kind of things that they are focusing on is so much different. It's so much different from the rest. Why? Because the difference between men is what they train themselves with. So what are you developing yourself with? What are you developing yourself with? If you think that you want to do business, you must develop yourself with these things. It separates you. So you must have a structure. Let's say, for instance, 2019 is coming. You are not going to wait for 31st night for somebody to declare to you that, oh, once I've prayed for you, 2019 will be different. The entrepreneur does not believe in that per se. He believes in the structure because he knows that the structure that he has, the training systems that he has set for himself for 2019, those are the things that are going to be responsible for the results that he will get. He's not waiting for somebody to give him some kind of anointing water somewhere so that he becomes. No, your life is going to go the pattern that you have set for yourself. And usually is established in the things that you're training yourself with. So the things that you're developing, what videos? You live in a different world now. There are a lot of materials on YouTube. If you're an entrepreneur, you must equip yourself. You have to develop yourself. What are the topics that you're going to? For instance, on your phone, you must have some kind of audio that you're listening to all the time. The things that you're listening to all the time. You're not just, a lot of African children, African youth, African graduates only listen to something. It's always about preaching. I'm a Christian. We used to. It's always about just listening to preaching. No. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business person, if you want to achieve something, you must listen to other things. Other people who are doing that. The way they think will help you. The way they look at life will help you. Because if you cannot break a lot of things down, you push them into a level that you think you are not in. And that's why most people who start businesses don't go far, because they are not able to break a lot of things down into their understanding. And if you're not breaking a lot of things down to your understanding, it means that your skill set is weak. And if your skill set is weak, if anything bad happens to you, you will not find your way. You will not find your way, and you don't know what to do. And then you start to complain and you start to look for a profit and things like that. But you must have a structure. You must know the books that you're reading. You must know the videos that you're reading. You must even have, if it's in your car, you should not be listening to political talks and sports all the time. No, you must have something that you're listening to as an entrepreneur. Always. Is it about the product? Is it about management? Is it about leadership? Is it about finance? Is it about the general economy? Is it about whatever? Any topic that will help you. It's anything that will help you to innovate more, to do more, to take more, to become more, to become strengthened, to become more determined, to become more courageous. Those are the things that you're developing yourself with. Because if you don't do that, you give up. If you don't train yourself like that as an entrepreneur, you will give up. You will give up. You will quit. You will come to a point where you're complaining so much. You come to a point where you meet a little challenge and you are crying. You meet any difficulty, you are crying. And the challenge is a challenge because of the level of your exposure. It's a challenge because of the level of your understanding. And you cannot get a better understanding if you're not committing yourself to development. If you're not committing yourself to developing gradually, becoming better, breaking a lot of things down, because there are so many things that you must know for you to get a business that runs. And it doesn't. That's why most business people, the billionaires that you hear, the people who have built first generation businesses, you didn't hear of their name in the first year, the second year, the third year. Sometimes even after 10 years, you have not heard their name. Sometimes we hear that they're making billions after 30 years, or 15 years, or 20 years. Why? Because it's a constant process of learning, and the speed and how much volumes that they can consume in terms of developing and maturing and getting their decisions right. Those things are going to decide whether they succeed or they give up. Because until you and the thing is that if you were born here, there's so much that you don't know, or there's so much that you have to correct for you to be able to build a business. Why? Because the environment generally itself is evolving. Economic structure is evolving. Entrepreneurship kind of thing is evolving. Our school structure is evolving. The politics is evolving. They are all coming to a stage where they can help anybody succeed. We are not there yet. So you cannot just go and say that, I'm just trying something. That's why most people, when they start a business, they give up. Why? Because they are expecting the structure to hold, and the structure does not hold. So you must be double developed compared to another person in a kind of environment that is well developed. So the way you think should be different. The way you handle your time should be different. The way you analyze issues should be different. It should be different. You must read. You must study. You must equip yourself if you're going to succeed as a business person. If you just think that you just read Bible like we all do, just pray, go to church, and think that your business is going to succeed, it's a lie. You will just do it later and you give up. And that's why you see a lot of these guys who start business and later they say that God has called them, because they did not commit to studying. So when the business became difficult, they said that God called them. I'm not having problem with God calling any of us, but I think God can also call you in business. God is not just only calling people to come and preach. Any profession, any gift, any talent that God has given you can be an instrument to inspire people and to help people, and that is also a calling. So whatever, if you think you are doing business, you must develop yourself, and you must lift your game so high, or you will give up, you become confused, because the average information out there is not that much powerful to get results. That's why majority of us are just looking for a job. That's why majority of us are just looking for government position, because that is the information out there. Okay, that's the information out there. The structure is not built for a lot of our people to be innovative, a lot of our people to be creators. Most people think that they can create until they hit the ground. So creating a business, building a product, building a team, branding a company, it does not take this kind of analysis that you hear on radio. It takes a lot of soul-digging information. The thing about it is that even if you go to a lot of these books, you still should be able to extract and customize it and bring it into context as to what works in our country. Because what it takes for you to build a business in our country is so much different from what it takes somebody to build a company, let's say in Canada or in Australia or in America. It's a different ballgame. Here, even if, let's say, if you go to borrow, you see the interest rate is so high. Now, government maybe is trying to do something about it. But over all these years, entrepreneurs have struggled so much with capital. It's been so much trouble with capital. Entrepreneurs struggle with capital. They struggle with self-belief, and they struggle with even cultural belief system and religious belief system. A lot of our people are very much superstitious. We struggle with that. And a lot of us also struggle with political setting. You know, that's why most companies, most people who start businesses in our country, you know, we just start with a kind of contract business. But very few people are able to build a product, test the business model, and grow it gradually and start to employ people and become formidable business that can compete, because the factors are so choking. I'm not here to tell you why it won't work. I'm just saying that even though the factors may be so much choking, if you develop yourself, if you constantly lift your game up, you may not reach there in a year. You may not reach there in 2 years. But if you have constant plan to develop yourself and stretch yourself, you'll get there. And you become so much masterful, you become so much skilled, because you're committed to developing yourself. So, as an entrepreneur, you must develop yourself. So, I'm talking about how to develop yourself. And into bracket, I'm talking about how to develop yourself as an entrepreneur. And I'm saying that a school is not enough. It's woefully, which is a popular word, popular phrase, woefully inadequate to prepare you as an entrepreneur. School just prepares us for the job market. So you cannot depend on your so-called degrees to become an entrepreneur. You will fail. Even if you had a degree in business management or accounting or finance, you will, even if you had a degree in entrepreneurship, you will fail. Why? Because the force that separates those who fail and those who give up, not those even who fail, those who give up and those who succeed, is so much of the self-identification, the courage, the determination, you know, the strength to keep going when everything else is not working, to keep challenging yourself and to change your formula and to keep developing yourself. That then, nobody can teach anybody. You have to teach yourself that. You have to have a plan to teach yourself that, because eventually all of us, we only move according to the level of understanding, according to the level of our wisdom, according to the level of the knowledge that you have accepted. The things that we're telling ourselves innerly, those decide the pace that we build anything. It's not so much. It's not even what I'm saying. What I'm saying will just create an awareness in you. What you go to learn and what you tell yourself you settle with is what it is. Those are the things that are going to decide the decisions that you make. And the decisions and the actions that you make or you take, those are the ones that are going to be responsible for the results that you get as an individual, as a human being, and obviously as an entrepreneur. You know, so commit to self-development. You cannot just tell yourself that anything that you wrote exam to get, you think that that's an education. That's just about 2-3% of the kind of education that you need to even generally succeed in life. And so when it comes to you succeeding as an entrepreneur, that is nowhere close. You have to pick your teachers. You have to pick the people you are going to listen to. You have to pick the books that you will read yourself. You have to pick the audios that you will read yourself. You have to pick the topics that you are going to constantly study. My plan is in the mornings, maybe it's better early in the morning, like maybe 5 to 6 or 7. You have books that you're reading. It's better you read in the morning. You know, you pick a book. Somebody. There's always somebody. Whether it's a biography, whether it's on finance, whether it's on the product development, whether it's how to build a business, anything that is connected to entrepreneurship. Those are the things that you read, and I think that you read them early in the morning, it will help you. Then maybe throughout the afternoon, whether you are in your workplace or in your car, you always have some audio or some videos that you can download and be listening to constantly. You cannot complain about data. You want to succeed, you must develop yourself, because that's the only thing that is going to guarantee your success without you losing your head. without you losing your head. How much you're pumping into the time that you have every day. And then maybe in the evening you can start to read again or watch something. There has to be from January to December, there has to be a program that you have, that you're constantly developing yourself. Or beyond that, then the hours that you spend on the business that you're building, the people that you're meeting. If you go to pitch, let's say you go to look for a contract, they don't give you. Don't curse yourself. Go for another one. If they don't give you, don't worry. Try. If you have not done about 1,000, you have not tried enough. Let's say you are selling a product, you're selling something, and you go to 3, 4, 5 people and they don't buy. That is not an excuse to quit. Just go to the next person as well. Continue to go until you get results. That is entrepreneurship. And those are all part of the training. Because the first person that you meet with the first product, the way you will pitch, the way you will talk to that person will not be the same way when you are talking to the 100th person. So that the activity of the business is also a training manual for you. Everything, the people that you're meeting, the employees that you're employing, those that you're interviewing, employing, those that you're sacking, those that you are letting go, all those are training you. Everything is training you. Everything is a training. And so you have to commit to training, because the results will only come when we have qualified. The results that is sustainable, the results that can bring the growth, the results that can bring the expansion that you're looking for as a business person. That results will not come by luck. It comes by training. It comes by development. It comes by you giving yourself time. So you have to know that you're separating yourself from every other person. You have to know that you have to have a plan to succeed as an entrepreneur. And what is popular is not what is making anybody win. That's why people rise to build businesses with all kind of ways and means. And then when the trying times come, everything starts to crumble. Why? Because they did not train. They did not go through the processes. So when the challenge came, it destroyed them. One of the advantages of training and developing yourself constantly is that the challenges will not break you. The challenges will rather make you better, because you're building. You're building. The fire does not destroy the gold. No, the fire refines gold. Fire refines gold. So don't pray for the fire to go. You need the fire. You need that challenge. You need that trouble. So when your partner runs away with the money, it's just a fire. It is refining you. It's training. It's developing you. When the employee quit when you least expected it, it's not destroying you. It's making you better. When you make that mistake, it's not going to destroy you. It's going to make you better. That which will destroy you is not in your category, as a matter of fact. Because the fire does not destroy gold. The fire can destroy paper, but not the gold. So my name is Obindako. I'm talking about how to develop yourself. And I'm bringing it down to how to develop yourself as a business person. You have to understand the kind of culture that you live in. You have to understand the kind of people that you flow with. You have to understand the kind of career, if you have to use that word, that you have taken as an entrepreneur. And if you're an entrepreneur, your career is so much different. Everything comes at you. And if they talk about developing Africa, developing economy, development is just people creating products, creating better services. That's all. If they are talking about creating employment, they can create a sustainable, proper employment with that business people, with entrepreneurs. And so when the governments in Africa are talking about the entrepreneur job, what really they are talking about is that they have to train more. They have to develop more. They have to create the kind of atmosphere that people can start and grow businesses. But what is more important is the kind of mind that these people we call entrepreneurs will develop, because they have to think separately from the others. If you look at any country that has had, a lot of these entrepreneurs, you see their mind is different. They're always challenging the status quo. They're always questioning things. They're always challenging themselves. They work long hours. They develop, they're studying, they are connecting. They believe themselves. They believe that what they're doing will bring some kind of history. They believe that what they're doing can change the course of history. They are that confident in that. You meet any guy who is doing any business here, you ask him, what are you doing? So, I can't find a job, also I'm trying to hang in there. No, you have to believe that what you're doing has the possibility of changing the course of history. You have to have that identification. You have to have that confidence. And that comes out of you committing to developing yourself. If you are not developing yourself, you will not be able to understand yourself. You will not be able to understand the journey, and you will not be able to understand what you have and what you bring and where you're going if you're not developing yourself. The only reason that anybody can convince you and you agree, and if somebody tells you that, this is not important, you're just wasting your time, and you agree, is because you don't have stronger argument. And if you don't have a stronger argument, it's because you're not developing yourself. You're not committing to constantly challenging and exposing yourself to things that will stretch your mind. And so you have to identify some authors that you're going to read their books. You have to identify some of the people on YouTube that are doing fantastic jobs, in terms of breaking things down when it comes to development, and when it comes to entrepreneurship, when it comes to innovation, when it comes to creativity, when it comes to technology, management, leadership, things like that. You have to, go for their audios, convert them. Once you pick the video on YouTube and you think that you have to convert it to MP3, put it on your audio on your phone. Your phone should be a training machine. Your phone is a training machine. You have to convert it into that. You put a lot of videos on it. You put a lot of books on it. You put a lot of audios on it. So constantly, every time, you're opening something and you're learning. Forget about what people will talk about, say. It doesn't matter. They are occupied with something, you're also occupied with something. You cannot so much desire where you're going when you're not ready to train to get to where you're going. So because the training is that which will keep you in peace. This journey is so tough that you will easily give up if you don't have the right training setting. And that comes with just personal level training setting. So until you develop yourself, until you're committed to developing yourself, you're not going to see results. Even if you see results, that results may not stay that much because you are not understanding the journey. You're not understanding yourself. You're not even understanding the business, and you'll not be able to even pick the right people to connect with, the right network, there are a lot, because many people are not just going to succeed like that. It takes a lot of self-development, commitment to self-development for you to build that strength, the strength of character, the strength of courage, the skill that you need to develop as an entrepreneur. The skill that you need. At the same time, there will be family. At the same time, there will be church. At the same time, there will be a lot of other things that you're going to do. And yet you have a business that you're building as well. And so if you're not training, and there is no school, there's nothing that can train you but yourself. That's entrepreneurship. You have to train yourself. On the field, in the books, on TV, on audio, on YouTube, articles, all over, constantly listening to something, constantly watching something, constantly reading something, constantly being on the field. When everybody is giving up and when everybody is tired and you have to finish that work, you have to finish that work. You have to improve your work ethics. No excuses. When they give the project and you have to finish it, no excuses. You're constantly on time. You're constantly looking. Can we meet the timelines? Because a lot of people, the way they work, their work ethics cannot bring any development, cannot bring any progress. And you as an entrepreneur cannot work like the way people work. You have to know that you're going to be paid by the results that you get. It's not just by showing up. Most people are just paid because they went to work. It doesn't matter what results they brought. You as an entrepreneur, you are going only to be paid because you got results. And so if you work the whole month and you didn't get results, nobody will pay you. Like for instance, in the construction sector, if you can only raise certificate when you have done the work that they told you to do. So the fact that you are there, showing up does not mean they're going to pay you as a contractor. No. They only pay you by the work that you have done. So that's his entrepreneurship. If you don't, you're only paid. Nature only pays you by the work that you have done. They pay productivity, they pay responsibility. They don't pay because you showed up. But there are a lot of people who go to work, they don't have to bring any results. They just go to work, at the end of the month they'll be paid. The entrepreneur does not have that kind of luxury. That's why we have to constantly commit to self-development. And nothing, no challenge can break you if you commit to self-development. Do your part. Do everything that is humanly in your reach. Leave the rest to God. But don't wait for God when you have done your part. Don't just be saying that instead of you going to work, you say you're going to pray, you're going to church. Monday morning, you're in church. Tuesday morning, you're in church. Thursday morning, you're in church. Friday morning, you're not going to get results like that. You're going to get results because you're working. It's the work of our hands that will bring the progress. So, commit to self-development. And you cannot use a lot of superstition to interpret a lot of the happiness in your business. You have to use data. A lot of the times. Data. If it's not working, get the facts. Why is it not working? Why is it not working? Because that's how the rest of the world is doing it. That's how they do it. Only here that anything that is not working is demon. Anything that is not working, the devil is in charge. Anything that is not working, you have not done this. That's why it's not working. So you cannot think like that and build anything meaningful. You cannot. You have to know that there are a lot that you can do yourself to get results. And so if you're not getting the results, it means there's some kind of development that you have got to catch up with. There's some kind of development that you've got to catch up with. So my name is Kwabena. I thank you for watching. And if you are interested in building yourself beyond what everybody knows, then commit to studying, commit to reading. Read. Buy books on finance, buy books on entrepreneurship, buy books on product development, buy books on the industry that you're in. Watch videos, listen, watch, search. It's always searching, reading, finding out, training yourself, committing. Maybe some seminar that you have to go. You have to just continue to develop yourself. School has never trained anybody to become an entrepreneur. The training is at the personal level. You have to school. You have to develop yourself. That's your only bet that you're going to succeed. Without killing yourself, without being sad, and without becoming depressed. And until you have proper understanding of what you're doing as an entrepreneur, a lot of things will be mysterious to you. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you.